I've always said you don't have to go very far outside Madrid to do some decent bird watching. In fact, you don't have to leave the city at all. Welcome to a brand new episode of Madrid Birding. This time I'm coming to you right from the very, very center of Madrid. I thought, what better place to start than here in Plaza Mayor.
Plaza Mayor dates back to 1619. It's been a marketplace, an execution spot, a bull ring, and now it's a major thoroughfare for tourists and locals crossing between the historic centre, Gran Via, and La Latina.
The first birding anecdote that I have for you about Plaza Mayor is related to this statue that you see behind me, and it's a statue of King Felipe III. And when it was first built, the horse's mouth was hollow, it had an opening in it. So what would happen is that it would fill up with sparrows who would go inside the statue and then be unable to get back out again. So they would die and then they would rot and they would give off this horrendous smell. But anyway, over time, I think it was renovated at some point and they covered up the horse's mouth so it was no longer hollow. And yeah, now Plaza Mayor no longer smells of dead birds, just calamares. It goes without saying that Plaza Mayor is prime real estate. If you can afford to buy a flat here, then you're absolutely loaded. But every year, a certain species of bird comes along and freeloads off these people, and that is these house martins that you can maybe see behind me. And they build their nests on the walls, underneath the balconies, and like in the cloisters on the outside of people's apartments for free. They don't pay anything. They're a migratory species, so they've come back now just in time for the summer and just in time for the crowds. This improvised birding tour of Madrid, of the city centre, starts here in Plaza Mayor and then goes out towards El Parque del Oeste. Now, the best route to sort of take in my opinion, is to leave through one of the main gates and go to Calle Mayor, follow that up to Palacio Real, the Royal Palace, head through Plaza España, up to the park, and then head all the way up towards Moncloa. And what it does is it kind of takes in the western edge of the city centre, which gives you views over like Casa de Campo and some of the countryside over there. So I think it gives you a bit of a better chance to take in some of the sort of big vultures and big eagles that might kind of stray over the city, but also it brings you past some of the kind of the cathedrals and the towers where you might see things like kestrels and peregrine falcons. If you do come down to the Royal Palace, then I highly recommend that you spend some time in this little square that they've got between the Royal Palace and the Catedral de la Almudena, the Almudena Cathedral. And try not to be distracted by all the people milling around on the ground or the buskers and all the noise that's going on. Instead, keep your eyes up in the sky, especially on these domes behind you, where you can very often see things like kestrels. In fact, I saw one earlier today. But also look straight up above you, because often you'll see things like griffon vultures or even eagles, lots of black kites flying right over you. And the reason for that is because we're quite close to the Casa de Campo. And actually, now that we've mentioned that, I've got a bit of a cheat code for you. Let me show you. Okay, this is a cheat code that I was telling you about. Just behind the cathedral, you've got this viewpoint, which looks over to the south and southwest of Madrid, including Casa de Campo. And if you've seen my episode on Casa de Campo, and you should have by now, and if not, you should go back and watch it, then you'll know that it's under the flight path of some of the biggest raptors in Spain. The ones that I keep mentioning, like the griffon vultures, sometimes black vultures, I imagine, also Spanish imperial eagles, and all sorts of different black kites, red kites, booted eagles, loads of different stuff. So yeah, highly recommend you come down here and just perch up for like 45 minutes or an hour, and you're almost guaranteed to clap eyes on one of them.
Once you've finished up at the Royal Palace, head down past the Opera House and across Plaza de España. You can also nip into the Sabatini Gardens just next to the palace, where you'll find plenty of blackbirds and passerines. Then continue up towards the beginning of El Parque del Oeste, near Templo de Debod.
If you're getting tired of the crowds around the Royal Palace, Gran Via, Plaza de España and all that, you can come down here to your Templo de Devot and El Parque del Oeste, which kind of spreads out from the top of Plaza de España up towards Moncloa. And it's got some really nice views right across the south of the city and Casa de Campo. It's not a bad place to come and do a little bit of bird watching too. I've seen some coal tits. I saw a kestrel flying over earlier, which unfortunately I wasn't able to film. It was far too fast for cumbersome old me, but it was a pretty cool sight to see. And yeah, so it's a nice place just to come and chill out actually. It's a good picnic spot. Lots of people come in here have a picnic, to be fair. And it's also a popular sunset spot. You'll find loads of crowds here at night. But we're going to venture deeper into the park now because I've been told that there might be some peregrines. The bird watching in Madrid is just so good. I honestly think that you'd be hard pressed to find a European capital where it's at this level, especially for raptors. I mean, the fact that you can come to the city center, right in the very center, and like look up in the sky and maybe see something like a griffon vulture or even a Spanish imperial eagle. I mean, I think that just never ever ceases to amaze me. And it kind of makes sense in a way, because, well, Spain's home to like 90% of Europe's griffon vultures, and if you go just to the north of the city into the mountains, you can find some of the biggest population of griffon vultures up there in the whole of Spain. But yeah, and it kind of gives you a hint as well as to like kind of what's beyond the city, if you know what I mean. So these animals are straying above the city itself, but if you go out into the wild, you can have some of the most amazing wildlife encounters that Europe has to offer.
Continue deeper into the park until it doglegs round to the right towards Moncloa. This end of the park is often not as busy and is quite good for a particularly punky bird.
Just in the Parque del Oeste, towards the Moncloa side of things, and just went on a very respectful chase of a hoopoe that we saw flying from a tree, and we found it in amongst all these kind of picnic goers and people lounging around on the grass. So that was cool. It must have been a rather urbanized hoopoe, I reckon, because it wasn't that bothered about the presence of humans. And whenever I've come across them kind of in the more wild areas outside Madrid, they kind of tend to be a bit more skittish and they always kind of like bugger off quite quickly. But this one was quite chill. It was just like going around the ground, kind of feeding a little bit. So the building behind me that you can see here is the Museo de América, which is kind of near Moncloa. And if you follow my finger up to the top of this tower, on a perch just outside a nest box roughly is the fastest animal on the planet. It's a peregrine falcon. Now, a quick shout out to TikTok user Edu Gomez for pointing me in the right direction here with some good advice on where to see birds of prey in Madrid. And yeah, you can actually see this on a live stream. There's a live stream on YouTube to look at the nest box and watch the peregrines as they sort of had their little family grow up around them. So definitely check that out. I would love to see that come off the perch now, maybe do a bit of hunting. I was told that they hunt parakeets around here, and since parakeets are an invasive species, that's kind of a good thing in a way. So we're going to stake it out a little bit and see if it does any movement. It's quite hot at the moment, so it's probably just going to stay there, but we'll see. Oh, she's caught something. She's tearing it up, or he's tearing it up. Yeah. Do you want to have a look see the nut is? She's like obviously got. I'll level with you, I wasn't planning on stopping here. I was actually all packed up, going home and everything, and I was walking across the Puente de Segovia, which you can see behind me, which goes from like the Royal Palace over to La Latina, and I saw these 4 black kites flying over, and I thought, okay, well, I have to try and film them a little bit. So I stopped and took all my stuff out again, and I thought, okay, I'll add this to the list. So I'm adding it to the list. Come to the Puente de Segovia around sunset, and you're almost guaranteed to see some black kites, probably, maybe, hopefully. Anyway, I'm going to sort of use this to kind of draw the episode to a close. I have a load of fun doing these episodes, and I hope that you enjoy them too. And if you do, please subscribe to the channel or share with your friends. Anything like that would mean the absolute world to me. It would give me the motivation to keep on doing it and convince me that I'm not just doing it for an audience of 1 or 2, which is fine. But I'll take that. But it'd be great to have an audience of 5.